Time flies. It's been 15 months since I purchased my VinFast VF8 Plus. It seems like yesterday, but it's been 15 months. And I have a lot to share with you about my experience with the VinFast VF8 Plus in the last 15 months. Let's talk about it.
You know, if you're in Vietnam and want to know about business, actually, if you're anywhere and want to know about business, you might want to check out Peng. He doesn't fuck around. Yeah, Peng. He's A-okay. Peace.
Let's get going. I put on my seatbelt so that it will release the parking brake. Putting to drive. Let's go. Truth be told, I really had a lot of fun with this car. I did many reviews. Some of them are a bit controversial. Got a lot of haters as a result. But I always tell the truth. I always tell the truth in this channel about my experience with VinFast. I'm a customer. I don't use their press cars. I'm a paying customer. I buy their cars and I experience their cars and I tell it like it is. Sometimes people don't like that, and that's perfectly fine. I don't really care about haters. I just keep on continuing doing what I do. And I really did have a lot of fun with this car because I did reviews, and I even made like 2 short horror movies with the VinFast VF8. You can find them here and here, all right? Let's see how much distance we have traveled on the VinFast VF8 Plus. So if you look at the odometer, we traveled about 27,300 kilometers already in this car in the last 15 months. But admittedly, I only traveled 6,000 kilometers in the VF8 Plus. The other 21,000 kilometers used by our company driver. We do have 3 company drivers driving 3 different VinFast, and he put about 21,000 kilometers on this car. And he drives our salespeople, our customer service people to meet customers all over the southern part of Vietnam. So he regularly takes this car to Minh Tây, take this car to Thái Ninh, to Đà Lạt, to Đắk Lắk, to Lâm Đồng, and to Vung Tau, right? So there's like, basically he travels all over the southern part of Vietnam. So that's why this car gets a lot of kilometers. And that's what I love, because that's how we really test this car, right? It is by putting the car in use and travel long distances. And let me tell you, in the first 15 months and after 27,000 kilometers, this car drives like new, right? And there is no battery degradation. When I drive the VF8 Plus, sometimes, not always, because this is after all a company car, I see that the battery is still healthy. It's 100%. There's no degradation. And I still get about 220 to 250 kilometers on a full charge, which is what I get in the beginning when I got the car. Since I got the car, there's been many software updates, and we see that many features have been added to the firmware, and the most important one being the ADAS self-driving feature. And I think that's a really cool feature, because when you get on the highway, you just turn the feature on and the car drives practically by itself. And I think that's very cool. It's not a feature we can use everywhere in Vietnam because Vietnamese roads are kind of crazy. But I think this is a great feature when you travel on the highway, even in Vietnam or the rest of the world. It's actually very reliable. It's very useful. Let's go on the highway and just see if it's still as good as, you know, the last time when I used ADAS. So we just got on the highway, and I'm going to turn on the ADAS feature here by pressing the button on the wheel. And now the car is practically driving itself. I can increase the top speed by pressing the up speed button. So right now I set the limit to maximum 80 kilometers. and I can also adjust the distance between the car in front of me by pressing the gap plus or gap minus buttons here. So no hands, the car is driving by itself. Let's close the gap with the car in front of us. Increase the speed. Look, Ma, no hands. The ADAS feature still works amazingly well. It's not a feature that we use often, probably only when we're on the highway, and probably for a very short period when we need to take our attention off the road just for a little bit. Then we put the feature on just for our own safety. I think that's really how you can use the ADAS feature. Oh, it's warning me to put my hands on the wheel, which is important because even though the car drives itself, but still need humans to make sure that computers are not stupid. All right, let's turn that off. Let's turn that off, okay? Turn it off by pressing the brake. All right. So out of all of the VinFast models in the VinFast lineup, and I have all of them from the E34 to the VF8 to the VF9 and now the VF6 and also the VF5. I have two of those. I have to say that VinFast VF8 Plus is my favorite because it has the best performance, 0 to 100 km/h in about 5.5 seconds, and it is all-wheel drive. It gives you stability and peace of mind when you take the car to extremes. I don't do that often, but you feel confident when you drive the VinFast VF8. So out of all of the cars, I love this one the most. But there are two things that I dislike about the VF8, and that's one, a lot of taxis are now VinFast VF8s. Some people, like myself, don't like to drive cars commonly associated with taxis, so that's why I don't drive this as much. And the second thing I would say that's negative about VinFast VF8, in fact, almost all VinFast EVs is the suspension. And I think this has been talked about a lot by different car journalists. The suspension is not well tuned, so there's a lot of vibration, especially if you sit in the back seat of the VinFast VF8 Plus. You can really feel the vibrations whenever you go over uneven roads. This actually causes people to be more prone to car sickness. We have a lot of people in our companies riding these cars, and they can attest that when they ride in the VinFast, they're more likely to get car sick and they're more likely to throw up. We hear that feedback a lot. So I say this not to say this car is shit, but rather I think this is something that VinFast can improve on. In fact, I think they are. I think in the more recent iterations of the VinFast VF8 that's been released from the factory, they have been tuning the suspension. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. This is one of the first VinFast VF8s that come out of the factory, so it doesn't have the better tuned suspension. But I think they are trying to improve this because they're hearing customer feedback both here in Vietnam and also overseas. And suspension is definitely one of the weaknesses of the VinFast VF8 Plus. And let me just share with you that this is the car that got me into car reviews, all right? When I got the VinFast VF34, I was really excited about Vietnamese electric cars, and I bought it, I reviewed it. It didn't get a lot of attention until I got the VF8 and I reviewed it. And when I was reviewing the car, I had a lot of problems. The car stalled, meaning that it will not change gear. The car just stopped in the middle of the road and I cannot even shut it off. And at the time, I did not know what to do. So we called VinFast and VinFast sent a tow truck, and then eventually they fixed it. But Every time that happened, we have to call the tow truck. Eventually, we learned that you could just disconnect the battery, the 12-volt battery in the front, and reconnect it. That will reset the software, and then you'll be able to get on the road. Eventually, we learned that that is not even necessary. So what you do is you shut down the car. Sometimes you can't, but if you can shut down the car and you walk away, make sure the key fob is far away from the car, and just stay like that for a few minutes and come back, and then everything will be restored. So we learned the hard way, but now we know what to do when these problems occur. When you see drive system fault or battery EV error, when you see errors messages like that, that's your cue to go disconnect the battery or just shut down the car and get out of the car's range and come back and restart. These things really should not happen, and I have not experienced these problems recently until I got the VF6, and these problems are happening with the VF6, but now I know what to do. It's very important you have two things when you have a VinFast EV. One is a battery booster. Get a portable one that you always carry with you. So let's say if the 12-volt battery, because that battery is not very good, let's say the battery is very low on charge, you can boost it and you can get on your way. Another thing you really need is the 10mm wrench to disconnect the cable from the battery. That will allow you to reset the software. So these two things are really essential if you drive a VinFast EV. So when I was first reviewing the VinFast VF8, and while I was doing this review and we had all these car problems, and we actually show it in a video, of course I get attacked. I get a lot of VinFast fans saying that I made stuff up, maybe I faked it all, and of course I did not. I presented it exactly what happened. I think there's plenty of evidence to prove that. Subsequently, I made a video about how I feel about the VinFast community, and I also made that video here. You can watch that. I'm happy to say that initially there's a lot of anti-fans, all right? But now they seem to have converted and they appreciate my reviews of VinFast vehicles. So I'm really happy to see that, and that encourages me to continue to buy VinFast cars and continue to review these cars. And I commit myself to review honestly. That's why these things are called honest reviews. And I tell it like it is, and I share with you my experience. If it's shit, I will tell you. If it's good, I will tell you. I don't need to make things up because I'm a paying consumer of VinFast cars. I'm not on VinFast payroll. Many people thought maybe VinFast pay me to do these things, but I don't, all right? I don't. They don't pay me shit, okay? And this is really out of my genuine desire to see a Vietnamese electric car company succeed, not just in Vietnam, but globally. I think this is such a fascinating story. I will continue to do this. There's so many more cars to buy. There's the VinFast VF3. There's a new VinFast truck. It's called the VinFast Wild, okay? Wild. I'm wearing this shirt. It says, live wild, okay? I'm already ready for that truck, with this shirt. So I'm waiting for that truck. I've never owned a truck before, so that will be my first truck. It'll be electric, and it will be from VinFast. Anyways, let's get back to the VF8 Plus. So this is the VinFast I would pick out of the lineup. This is the most practical car out of the lineup, and also this is the best performance car. It's just so usable, and it's got a large trunk space. It can seat people comfortably. It can go fast, and this is the one I pick. If they can fix the suspension and make it more comfortable for people sitting in the back, then I think this will be a very, very good car. Maybe not as good as Tesla yet, but I do believe in VinFast. I think they're going to continually to iterate the car until it's very competitive in terms of quality, performance, and also price. Let's talk about what broke down in the last 15 months, okay? And I can tell you not much. We did have to go to the service center numerous times to update software. We did have to go a few times due to the battery issue. The battery could not retain a charge, so the car keeps on getting stalled on the road. So we did have to solve problems like that. But the service center has been very helpful. They've been providing very good service, and I think after a few months, these problems just stopped, and I never had any more problems. And the car's been flawless until I passed it to our company driver. I think had a few problems with the battery again, and so far it's been flawless. And other than that, really nothing went wrong with this car. There is a problem with the screen, however. When I got the car back yesterday, I noticed that some of the pixels on the screen, it's like it's been burned in so that it cannot change anymore. Some of the pixels, they're kind of stuck. They cannot change anymore. So we will be taking the VinFast back and talking to the service center about that problem. Other than that one problem, we really have no problem with this VinFast VF8. Do we have any other problem with the VinFast VF8? No, right? So we have problem with the battery, and the battery gets the car stalled. Sometimes it generates a lot of errors, or you cannot change gear. And recently we have this problem with the screen. So other than that, there's really no other problem. Everything works flawlessly. The paint on the car still looks beautiful, and it looks like a brand new car. I have no problem with this vehicle whatsoever, and I love the performance. I love it when I step down on the gas pedal and it just goes. And this is my favorite VinFast. I was planning to buy this car in Canada, but I spent so much time here in Vietnam. I rarely go back to Canada, so I haven't made that move yet. I would love to drive this car in Canada and also make videos and see how Canadians respond to this car. But maybe coming soon to this channel. All right, look for it. Subscribe so you can see those videos. So one final point about the VinFast VF8 Plus. When I received the car back 15 months ago, there were other problems, like for example the turning signal. So the turning signal sometimes don't cancel, or they cancel too early, and it was a nuisance. And I'm happy to say that they solved that problem. And there are other small glitches, and I can say that VinFast, they work at a really quick pace. They update the software, they provide these fixes very quickly. So I would say right now, VinFast VF8 owner should have a fairly good experience with the car. And also, the VF8 is the only car that has ADAS features. Even though VinFast advertised ADAS features for their lineup, but this is the only one that has the ADAS features. So I'm still waiting for the ADAS features in the VF9 and of course the VF6 later. But this is the car with all the features that VinFast promised. So maybe it's missing the self-parking, but anyways, this has got the most features that VinFast promised. I think this is really the flagship car of VinFast. You should be looking into it if you're looking for an electric car to buy here in Vietnam, or maybe even globally. But globally, there are many more choices. I think VinFast still have a long way to compete against other EV makers. All right, so take some fucking action. I say thumbs up for the VinFast VF8 Plus after 15 months of ownership and usage, and I say this is definitely a buy, okay? Buy the more recent ones with the suspension update, because I think they will be more comfortable, and don't be a fucktard.